As the darkest night of the year comes to pass, I too return and let loose the man-made nightmares that were once sown deep within the minds of mortal souls that long to be free, to create fear amongst your kind. How do you define a dream? A mere harmless illusion? Or something that twists and morphs into a frightening reality? It's interesting how such a simple thing as a vision of a fantasy that could never be holds such strong power over you, filling every fiber of your being etched with terror. It's here where all the blood-curdling visions are amassed for this one fateful night, a night where all your fears are released out to all the souls that sleep, forced to experience the untold horrors that they had never known of and never wished to be a part of their peaceful routine in life. I welcome you all, both familiar and new souls, to the depths of all humanity's torment, to the phobia-drenched purgatory that I safeguard. I am the gatekeeper of all the horrors that lie in this place, and I've returned once again to share with you the minuscule morsels of the frightening visions that I hold, and in turn have a great hold upon you, just as I have vowed I would. Speaking of illusion and dreams, let us begin this night with the first of spine-chilling visions. Have you ever experienced a dream where you're living your normal life? A dream that felt so real that you believe that you're awake, when in actuality you're still asleep, safe within your covers? Well, what if your perception of what is illusion and reality blurred so much that you would not be able to tell the difference between the two? Not able to know if you're awake or still deep in the land of dreams, stuck in an endless loop, desperately trying to figure out which world is the real one? This is one of many tales spun in the name of fear. A creepy tale of a single exhausted soul, unable to find rest as he constantly hears on his windows and the front door of his house, knock, knock. Taking place on one of many sleepless nights, an intellectual man who never seems to state his name has been having trouble falling asleep as of late. Every night he hears the sounds of something outside knocking on his door and windows. This, suffice to say, gives him a delightful headache, one so strong that it feels like that the knocking has pounded a large hole into his skull. This man, who we shall call the Lodger, is a worldologist, a profession taken up by every family member before him. They examine and analyze the world they live on, from the sky, the air, and the ground they stand upon. Their research kept within a large notebook to pass on their research to the next in line to take on the task. It's too bad that not any bit of the world's knowledge could even hope to give him the respite he yearns for. As he once again couldn't find the embrace of sleep, he gets out of the bedroom and begins to check the rooms of his entire house, which has become a nightly tradition for him. It is not long till he begins to vaguely mutter to no one in particular about how exhausted he has become, and that there are some strange things lurking in the darkness. Glazing over that small detail, He then talks about how the nightmares have been keeping him from his much-needed sleep, and how they disappear by sunrise. However, he would soon realize that the morning light he so craves to dispel the darkness from his house will not come, as he notices that time is not passing. It was that moment he heard the front door to his house open, which worried him when he came to check, as he could have sworn that he bolted and locked the door, and wondered if he somehow did without realizing. Deciding to take a step outside his house, he goes to check to see who or what came knocking at his remote, humble home. Once outside, he was surprised to see nothing. Nothing for miles. Nothing but the endless sea of dead trees, grass, and a blanket of fog that covered the far-off distance, limiting one's vision to only see 3 paces in front of their face. Seeing little reason in staying outside, he returned inside his home. Suddenly, he was back in bed, waking up as if he never got out of it at all. Confused, he slid off the bed and picked up his trusty candle as he tried to make sense of what just happened, while surmising that he was finally awake. He prepared himself to repeat what he did in his dream of carrying out his nightly rounds, of checking all the rooms and turning on the lights in each room, which he believes would dispel whatever is hiding in the darkness. Yet even the light can never put him at ease, as he feels like someone's penetrating gaze coming from outside the window. But he still finds comfort in knowing that the first light of the morning sun would take away all the paranoia that welled up within his being. Turn on the lights, and the nightmares will be gone for a spell, but they will never truly go away. However, soon we would find that the rational lodger has a very good reason to be anxious. There within his house was a growl so inhuman that even his logical mind could not put to bed with a simple explanation, as the forest outside is dead, with no living wildlife other than the vast population of insects that have completely dominated the forest that he lived in. He continued unfazed, used to the strange noises he heard on a nightly basis. As he worked on getting the lights back on and making sure everything were in their rightful places, while waiting for morning to come, even by using the clocks that he found around the house in order to bring the time for the sun to rise more faster. At first, things didn't seem so bad, but each time he went between the dreaming and waking worlds, more loud bangs could be heard. Light bulbs that he fixed broke, doors mysteriously shut and locked behind him, and he could hear voices that were not his own talking to him.
Wait there.
Don't know how to keep the house.
As he walked and crept within the darkness of his home, strange apparitions appeared and slowly walked towards him, as if trying to find him, just as the voices said before. All he could do against them were to run to another room with light, or head down to another floor that they were not able to follow him to, or hide behind large furniture while covering his eyes, in hopes that if he does not see them, they will not see him. The only way he could be rid of them was to bring back the light to drive him out from his house and mind, since there was no other escape from them, as they turned as soon as he came back in the vicinity of their patrol, making his time difficult. They also resided in the forest outside, in wait for him to touch them, so they could take away what little of his precious sanity he had left. Through it all, the pain of having to face the eerie horrors residing in his home, walking through the forest to find his house each time, walking through the darkness with only a light from a single flame within his grasped hand, seeing creepy images of his visage, and being threatened by a large monster looming over the distance from his home, which came closer and closer each time he made it through both his waking and dream versions of his abode. He only had a slim hope, which rested not only on the rising sun that he waited longingly for, but also in the scraps of paper left about the house, which he is both sure and unsure about having wrote them himself. With so little he can do, and time being his greatest ally, but also his greatest enemy, will he be able to find his salvation, to be at peace during his times in Slumberland? Or will he be doomed to be lost between the dream and waking world, unable to distinguish between them, and in the end, become a broken shadow of his former self? People always say, "Don't worry, it's only a dream. They cannot hurt you." Whoever said that must not have known the true horrors one's dreams can cause to one's sanity, and how they can find a way to affect the peaceful reality that you live in, and swallow your entire being into its nightmarish depths, and forever drown in the suffering it brings. But you all know that already, don't you, my dear audience? With this nightmare put to rest, there are many more that I must share with you. And if you thought that this dreadful dream was scary, then I will take great delight in seeing how you will cope with the disturbing and bone-chilling visions ahead in our short time together. Then I will ask you, even after all this is over, if you could still sleep in peace.